Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dominions 5. We're playing Late Age Tenchi, and this is turn, I believe it's turn 44. Let's double check. Lots going on in this turn. Turn 44. Now, I've actually just finished playing this turn, and I've submitted it, and I've also sort of seen the next turn. There was a lot of diplomacy that happened again on this turn. But first, let's go through the messages. So there's a global that was put up. And Vidheim has overcast Pangaea's Mother Oak, if I remember correctly, because I'm pretty sure Mother Oak was up already, and I assume it was Pangaea who had it. Now, let's just look at the map. Well, okay. So, let's look at the map here. So, Ulm has attacked us. Now, let me first tell you what the state of affairs was before this turn, because we had a lot of diplo between me and him afterwards. And I'm sorry if in the background you can hear there's a bit of a rainstorm that's loudly clattering against the windows here, so hopefully that's not coming out too strongly. But anyways, previously I did not have any NAP or anything with Ulm. We didn't really have borders. But you'll recall that was, there were some negotiations around because he was fighting Pangaea and things like that, and I realized that he was teamed up with Man and whatever. So, and Ulm had expressed to me concerns about me taking over Man. Then, last turn, we had seen him move onto this throne here, and I had suggested to you guys that I would actually be okay if he wanted to just nibble off the north of Man and leave me alone to conquer the rest of Man. I would kind of be okay with that. I mean, obviously I prefer if he didn't get involved and just, I don't know, fought like Utgard or whatever. But, I think he's in a position where he can leverage his involvement. He can say, look, give me this or I'll make it hard for you to conquer Man. So that's what I thought he was going to do. Then, though, but this turn, he's moved off of this throne, and he's moved on to my province here and this province here. So this is a bit weird to me. Now, let me start explaining sort of the diplo that went through. It turns out that Ulm seems to be very interested in the preservation of Man. And so he really just wants me to stop attacking Man. And his basic idea is stop attacking Man or I'll attack it. He wants to make it his mission to slow me down in my conquest of Man. Partly, I think he thinks that I'm growing too fast, too strongly. And so he wants to curtail that growth and contain that. Now, there are more details, but let me just pause right there and talk about that strategy. And this is something I think that I've learned more recently in my games playing Dominions. But I think that is a bad strategy. I think that as a nation, as a player, you need to do whatever is going to get you stronger the fastest. Strongest the fastest, right? So if you have a choice between fighting an equally powerful nation or fighting a weak nation, all other things being equal, you should fight the weaker nation because you will get stronger doing that. Even you'll also get stronger relatively. So you might be thinking, well, the stronger nation, if I don't slow them down, they'll keep getting stronger, and then I won't be able to fight them. Now, if you have equal strength, then I mean it's tricky, but there are a couple of outcomes. You might win, you might outright lose, and then you just basically have lost the game, right? You might have a kind of grindy war, which on the one hand, that will slow the other guy down, which was your stated objective, but now a grindy war has also taken you out of contention, so that is always your primary objective, is you need to win, right? And so you have to hope that you have a very advantageous war that you come out ahead of. Those are the only kinds of wars that you want to have in Dominions. And so obviously having a war against a weak neighbor is more likely to produce that result. Now, when is it appropriate to attack a nation that you believe is running away with the game? Well, obviously there are, cases where coalition is called for, right? Somebody's about to do a throne rush there are certainly some game-specific situations where that is totally valid. But it's always tricky to get a bunch of small nations to try to collaborate fighting a larger nation. You're in a much better position if you are able to continue to grow in parallel with this supposed, feared opponent that you're hoping to challenge one day for dominance. Now, this game is still in pretty early stages, and really there isn't anybody who's far ahead. So far, just in terms of land conquest, I don't have access to research graphs. There's a lot of stuff I don't know about the state of the game. I know that Atlantis is fairly large, and he has conquered Mikland. So Atlantis is a two-cap nation. Also, Atlantis just happens to be a very strong late-age nation. So my gut feeling right now is that Atlantis is in the lead. Now, I technically am a two-cap nation in that I own Lemuria, but Lemuria doesn't really count. Lemuria is just a 9 death gem site. So Lemuria is kind of like having Mother Oak up for death gems. But I literally have no income. I have 11 income from having conquered Lemuria. And that, by the way, is because we have a special mod designed to repopulate the lands of Lemuria if you conquer them. And honestly, in terms of potential sites, let's say that Lemuria's cap circle was pretty devastated by his dominion. You can see here, Atlantis, has a province that only gives 6 income. Pangaea here, only 19 income. Now, these provinces have value in that some of them have perhaps some bonus, but also, some of them perhaps still have people in them, but, they might have magic sites, so they'll get gems. But those have been spread pretty evenly between all the participants in that war. You have Pangaea, you have Atlantis, and you have myself. So, for example, I got these 2 provinces over here. Apparently, we found mudfields here. Great. So this is just like having Mother Oak up, basically, in terms of strength. I'm not really a two-cap nation. So, on the one hand, Alm saying I'm going to get scary and run away with the game is not quite objectively accurate, in the sense that I'm not even in the strongest position currently in the game. But even if that were a concern of his, or of any other one of my neighbors, the correct move is not to challenge me directly, unless you feel you have a great matchup. Unless you feel you have the advantage, then please do come challenge me, right? Or potentially you have a big 2v1 or 3v1 planned, right, diplomatically. That could be another option. The best option is for him to go and win a war of his own against one of his smaller neighbors. So right now, Vedheim is relatively small. Utgard is relatively small. Now to his north, there is Pangaea, who is at war with Satis. So that could also be an option for him. But I believe he has some kind of... my understanding is that now he's peaced out with Pangaea just recently. And that might have been a mistake in the sense that, what happened is Satis invaded Pangaea, and Pangaea probably asked Ulm for peace. Probably he didn't want to. I think Pangaea felt he was doing well against Ulm, but he couldn't deal with a 1v2, so he asked Ulm for peace. And probably Ulm should not have taken the peace. I think Ulm should have taken advantage of the 2v1 and conquered him. But Ulm was perhaps attracted to come here and meddle with this conflict. So I think I would not have done that play. I think that is the wrong play. I think it's better if Ulm gets as much of Pangaea as possible. Then he's stronger, and then he can go and move on to his next enemy. Now, even if you wanted to contest me because you're afraid I'm going to get control of man too fast or whatever, then probably the better move is to attack man and take man's stuff before I can, right? Or, anyway, so those are all options. Or you negotiate something, right? So I did a fair amount of Diplo this turn. I actually offered peace to man. Seeing how Ulm had moved in here, I felt that Ulm... See, because here was my thinking. My thinking was, if Ulm really wants to slow me down in man, then what he should do is probably grab these provinces and, take these forts, right? And then maybe we can contest his cap, but basically he's saying, look, you're going to take man, but I'm going to get like a lot of juicy bits. Like these provinces have a lot of income. He's got a throne here. He's got a fort here on farmlands. Like if Ulm could take these provinces and let's say I got the rest, that's like not bad. I mean, I still maybe come out ahead, but he didn't have to do any of the work. I had to go and kill all of man's big armies. Ulm just got this stuff for free. So that's what I thought he was doing initially. But then he moved on to my fort here. So now I'm like, wait, Ulm actually wants to fight me? This doesn't look really good. Then over here, I'm seeing, Atlantis has a non-negligible sized army down here. Like, is there some kind of team up in the works? So I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Now, I'm ahead now in my war with man. And I know we haven't looked at the battles yet, but, even after the first battle, I clearly have come out ahead. And with this fort, which has a lot of income, and clearly this throne, which man can no longer protect, I have gotten gains fighting man, and I could peace out, and I would definitely have options for other wars. I could go and attack Utgard right now. I could kind of backstab Erythea while he's fighting Relay. I could, if Pangaea is really struggling here, I could come in and not have like a full war, but I could come in and take some of this stuff before Cetis gets it. So I have other things that I could do to keep growing, and having like a tiny weak man over here is not, super threatening to me in the long run, especially because we killed like a ton of his mages. So although he has a lot of key research done, he's kind of going to stagnate for a while in terms of research. Anyway, so for all those reasons, I offered peace to man. Now, the way I phrased it is, the terms that I offered are like, look, we can have peace. I get to keep like everything on this line in east. So that means I keep this fort that I took from you, I keep this province, and I get this throne. And you can have all this cap circle stuff that I raided from you. Obviously, I have to give him back his cap circle. Those were the terms that I offered. Now, I also said in the message, because, okay, so if you're man, and the guy who's about to kill you offers you peace terms, you probably say yes, right? But then what would you do as man, right? You have just lost a ton of mages. You can't stay tiny forever. So maybe you rebuild a little bit until you get some critical mass. But then you have to go on the offensive. And who's he going to go on the offensive against? Cetis over here is in Pangaea's cap circle. Now, we don't know how this war is going to go. But man, this would be tricky. If Cetis completes his war against Pangaea successfully, he's up against a 2-cap nation. That seems kind of rough. But maybe there's a play here where he teams up with Pangaea to fight back against Cetis and get some land this way. But alternatively, he could just go north into Ulm. And honestly, what I saw here was Ulm moving here. Now, this is really weird because the way I interpreted this at the beginning of the turn is Ulm is like Ulm wants to fight me offensively here, and how could I put this? Like this to me isn't like a defensive move for man, because this was man's land, right? So this is like he's attacking me, but this kind of sends me signals that he doesn't really care about man's success. He's pushing into man's lands, and I thought that man would interpret this as Ulm coming in and trying to scavenge some of him before I did, right? And therefore, I thought that man might be interested in fighting back against Ulm. So when I offered him peace deals, I said, and look, if you want to go fight Ulm after that, what I said was, if we peace out, then I'll probably continue my war against Ulm. That's what I said. I said, I'll probably continue my war against Ulm. And that's because I do consider it a war now, because Ulm has moved on to my fort. Like, this isn't just like, oh, I'm going to, like, interfere with you on man. He's, like, literally moved on to my fort. So that's what I told man. Now, man got back to me, and he refused. He kind of politely declined. By the way, the player who's playing man does a lot of, like, role-playing in the diplomacy that we do. We do it on Discord. But still, it actually is fun. It's a bit of a change of pace. So anyways, I just thought I'd throw that in. So we're kind of trying to do a lot of this not like completely in character, but not metagaming it too much. Anyways, so he politely declined the peace that I had offered him. Now that's really ironic because Ulm is fighting me, it turns out, because he wants me to make peace with man. So right before the turn rolled over, I had scripted, I was going to come here. Well, okay, let's now look at the battles, and then I'll come back to the last bit of Diplo that I did, because we kind of skipped ahead a lot. So here we have, actually, you've seen this army before, so we saw it last turn. So it's the same army. This is one of the Blood Summons, Earth Dude, and they're just sitting on top of my fort with PD. And here you've actually seen this army as well, Ulmi, which is an Amish Army. He did Devils. Which do not work. But that was the magic phase, and so I defended against the Devils, but then I had scripted my guys to move here. So they moved there, and then he came in and just fought the PD and just lost to Wolf. So that's what happened there. I thought man might move out here, which is why I had moved my army there, and he didn't, so whatever. Now, man moved here and killed, one PD. He has moved out with just some units, no mage support. So he's got 11 wardens, 6 knights, and 4 doggies. And then over here, he's retaken this, which I had raided, with 38 longbowmen and 16 sacreds. And again, a priest to bless them. Down here, he has moved out with some tower knights and just a commander. And then over here, he has counter-raided with a bunch of sacreds with 20 wardens and 2 doggies. Over here, we got a random event with sea dogs, which is unfortunate. Just kind of takes our province away from us. And down here, there's a scout that got killed by PD. Okay, now the big fight this turn. So we're gonna have to pause all pause all that talk of diplomacy because we got a big battle to watch here. I stormed this fort, and you'll remember last time I thought maybe I delayed it one turn. I'm not sure, but I started and I was like, yeah, he has nothing in here. Well, so man basically cloud trapezed his entire mage corps into this fort. And I was not expecting this, so I did not bring a ton of mages. I just have, my sacreds and the basic buffs, which are like mass protection. We are doing fog warriors. I think we're also doing rigor mortis and relief. Now let's take a look at what happened. So he's got a giant communion going. So he's got, here, let's just pick a random. Maybe we can pick one who's a master. Here, let's zoom in and see if we can find a master. He's a master. So he's gone a little more conservative. Communion Slaves 25, Magic Boost 4. Now 25 is an odd number. 16, 32 would give you the next boost in power. So he went 16 and then he said, I'm going to bring some extra guys. Now in total, he has, I think, 40 or like 39 mages. So he's got like 15 masters, 25 slaves. Not actually a terrible ratio for these old guys. And especially because the spells that LA Man might like to cast, like Gifts from Heaven or Thunderstrike, are pretty fatigue intense. And I showed Rigor Mortis, right? Okay. So I put up Arrowfend and all my stuff, and then he puts up Firestorm. So I don't know if you saw it. It's about to come up. So I got up 4 Fog Warriors. Here goes Rigor Mortis. And then, I'm doing, protection from lightning, because I'm thinking, oh, shit, Thunder Strikes, Air Elementals, no Firestorm. Okay. Firestorm is very, very bad news for us because we just did mass protection. So all of our guys are susceptible to Fire 5, and we do not have any fire resist in our Bless. Fortunately, he has no units. Also, fortunately, he made some mistakes in his script, which means that he did not block his front door. And what that means is that my guys are still just kind of run in here and murder all of his dudes. But we are going to get wrecked. Oh, he actually also does Wrathful Skies. Oh, shit, I actually didn't see... I thought it was only Firestorm. Oh, geez, I didn't even see the Wrathful Skies. Interesting. I wonder how many kills the Wrathful Skies get. I think most of the kills he gets this turn is from Firestorm. I didn't see the Wrathful Skies. I think it's because that mage just dies right away. So it's only been like 1 or 2 rounds since he cast that. Yeah, Wrathful Skies. No, Wrathful Skies is up. It's doing work too. Okay, it goes down now. So I think Wrathful Skies lasted 2 to 3 rounds. Now Firestorm is still up. But it goes down now. Okay, Firestorm is over. But you can tell, just looking at this, that we have taken quite a beating. Also, it looks like we did Rigor Mortis, but we never got relief up, probably because our guy died to either Thunderstrikes or to Firestorm. Okay, and then we're going to finish, and then we're going to kill the rest of the mages here. I can just fast forward this. So, about this fight. This was a nice move on his part. I'll show you the report in a moment. I did not expect him. I probably should have, but I did not expect him to have gone down to Evocation 7 and gotten Firestorm, or for that matter, Wrathful Skies is something I could have predicted, but I did have air resistance going up, so I was doing basically what I could to counter Wrathful Skies, and my guys were pretty spread. So this, I actually didn't think of, but I was doing everything I could to counter it. But this I did not expect, and he saw that I was doing mass protection, so he was like, all right, boys, Firestorm, and that was a great move. Now, he could have, I think, pulled this off even better. And actually, we talked about the battle a bit, because he thought, too bad it didn't quite work out, and he thought, one of the things that he pointed out was that he didn't get as much fire resist as he thought he did, he should. All his communion gets basically 5 fire resistance from casting Summon Phoenix power, but the tooltip says 15, and it's a lie. However, if you look, I can show it to you a little bit here. Let's fast forward a little bit. I'll just show you once Firestorm has been up for a little bit. Okay. If we look at his guys, there are actually a couple of them who take some fire damage. But, I say that, and yeah, there are more here than some of these guys. That's more than I thought originally when I looked at this. So I was incorrect in my assessment that I gave him, because I told him I didn't think fire did too much damage. Okay, the lack of fire resist did some damage. It looks like it was directly responsible for maybe killing 5 of his mages. This is from the haze. Maybe 5 or 6 of his mages died to fire outright. But when you look at the battle report for the whole battle, like once all his mages are dead, if you go here and look, you see that what actually killed the mages is see, like, they're not taking, for example, they're not taking any heat fatigue damage, right? They're taking some fire chip damage. Mostly they're just getting killed by my cavalry, okay, is what's happening. There might also be, one of the things that it might be also is not so much the firestorm damage, because the firestorm damage is not a lot, but these guys, the fire elementals, have a 12 AP fire shield, which is much stronger fire damage than the firestorm damage, and he didn't position his guys correctly who were summoning them. So that was the first thing. Let's watch that again. What he should have done in terms of positioning is had whoever was going to make fire elementals at the front here and poop out the fire elementals right away. Because I've got a squad here just doing attack rear, not hold and attack rear, just, actually, apparently they are doing hold and attack rear, so that's my bad. I should have had a squad just going attack rear, zoom right into the mages. And that is a mistake on my part, because if these guys had been just attacking rear, like, what are we doing? Are we just shooting? No, okay. They weren't holding attack rear. That's a mistake. I should have a squad just running in. Can you imagine? That squad would already be here, and I would have lost so much less if I had gone and started killing his mages so much earlier. So that was a big mistake on my part. But he should have had fire elementals here, and then, even like Phantasmal Army or something, the air spell that spawns in a whole bunch of little ethereal dudes. Anything to just clog up the front gate. And that could have delayed me killing his mages by many turns, and he could have had both Thunder Strikes, or Wrathful Skies, and Firestorm running for a long time. He might have even won the battle. But he didn't do that, and I didn't do what I should have done, so it ends up being that I win. I kill, 36 of his mages. Now, I lose a lot. It's not... I definitely come out way on top, but this is not damage that I wanted to take. I don't lose any ancestor, any big important mages. This guy was twice born, so he's fine. I lose like 8 Masters of the Way and 2 Shaman, which I really didn't want to lose. And a lot of these were Astral guys. I lose 57 Sacreds, which is kind of bad. Now, like I said, in a war against man, this is a clear win. And in fact, 36 mages, they're 170 gold. So, I inflict way more gold damage than I take. But this feels bad. It feels bad because it was preventable too. If it had occurred to me that he might be doing that, and I definitely was within the realm of possibility, like, I have so many water dudes who could just come in and do fire resistance with some water gems, right? So easy for my nation to counter, and obviously not do mass protection, right? We could be doing mass protection is like the easy, lazy option, but we totally could be doing the cold one, Marble Warriors, which gives even more protection. Area Effect 25 means you only have to cast like 2 or 3 of them, and it gives you susceptibility to cold, which is not at all a problem. So, there were so many ways that we could have prevented that loss. That being said, now he lost like 30 mages in that first battle. Now he's lost 36 mages. He is screwed. He is screwed in the long run. But he decided he didn't want to peace out with me. So back to Diplo with Ulm. So I talk with Ulm for a while. And one of the things I do tell him, I realize that he's thinking he wants to keep man alive. He doesn't want me to take over man, so he's going to fight me for it. But like I said, I believe that is the incorrect strategy. But it turns out that it's in talking with him that I realized that maybe the reason the peace deal didn't stick is because... So these guys have been pretty good buddies the whole game. And I think what happened is that man interpreted my peace offer as like an offer to 2v1 Ulm. So Ulm's attack here is kind of like a preemptive, well, you're going to 2v1 me with man? Nuh-uh, like I'm buddies with man, we're going to 2v1 you. I don't think that Ulm actually wants to have a big war with me. He's doing it out of I think, misguided, but some sense of like he needs to slow me down, and also he just wants to help his buddy man. So, and because he was saying like, I'm doing this because I want you to make peace with man and go fight somebody else. And then I was like, dude, I offered peace to man, and he said no. So that kind of like then was a bit surprised at that. Now he thought that the peace that I had offered was conditional upon man attacking with me, and that was not my intent. Although I can see how my message, might have been misconstrued as that. So tried to get in touch with man, but we couldn't before the turn rolled over. And so, but is being quite reasonable in diplomacy here, and I think there's actually a decent chance, because man basically seemed resigned to his fate. He was like, well, I've learned a lot in this war, and I'm just going to go down fighting. So sometimes when players get that attitude, you can't convince them otherwise. But like, is doing this stuff because he wants to support man. But like, if man doesn't want to live, like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, this is silly, right? So Ulm's gonna have to accept that. Now, but like, I offered peace to man, right? So Ulm can't be like, well, I'm gonna war you unless you offer peace to man. And then I like, well, I did offer peace to man. And I was like, well, I'm gonna war you anyways. Like, no, that's stupid, right? So I offered peace to man. It's quite possible that this next turn, we're going to have some Diplo, and therefore we will have this peace deal. I don't know exactly what it will look like. Well, territorially wise, I'm quite firm on my demands. I'm happy with this line still as borders. I think. I mean, Ulm has a lot of options. I think Ulm could go fight Vadheim. He can go fight Utgard. He might get involved again over here. If I get the peace here, and I also get a peace deal with Ulm, then I'll see what I want to do. I'll probably regroup a little bit, but I'm going to move on to something else quite soon. I'm going to have to get some scouts in here to see what's going on. But I think if I get a piece here, I'm going to chill for a few turns just to make sure, to get a feel for what's about to happen here with Atlantis and what's about to happen here with Utgard. There used to be a ton of sacreds here. There used to be a bigger army here, and it's been moving around. But it's not, like, it's moving here. So I mean, Utgard might be going for Ulm. That might be a thing. Maybe he's going to move up to try to take some Pangaea. I don't know. Utgard's on the move, so it'll be interesting to know what that's about. But Utgard could be somebody that we take on. We could backstab Erythea. Before I do that, I'm going to want to have enough underwater siege chaff to do that, and that brings us to the fact that next turn, we are finally going to have Conjuration 7, which means not only can we finally do Wrath of the Ancestors, but it means we're going to be able to summon Mound Fiends, so that we can start just raising undead, which are going to be really nice. First of all, just as siege chaff on land, because we have pretty bad siege chaff, but also underwater siege chaff if we ever do want to go against Erythea. Since we have Conjuration 6, I have already summoned a Flame Spirit, and I'm in fact summoning a second one because we had a bunch of fire gems piled up. Remember, we have this amazing fire site here, the Fire Prison. And so I'm going to summon 2 Fire Spirits, and we're actually going to site search with them. Just going to move around and site search everything. We won't have any need for fire gems for a little while after. Now, what I've queued up is I've queued up Thaumaturgy 5 because we need to have Soulslay online to deal with Ulm's immortal thugs that keep coming back. Like, we can deal with them, we can kill them, but they're just going to keep coming back over and over again. So we need to have Soulslay in there. And then I've queued up Construction 6. I think it'll be good to get that before we push deeper into either Conjuration 8. I think the move after that is probably either Alteration 8 or Conjuration 8. So Conjuration 8 we've actually talked a bit about before, but it would give me some elemental royalty, specifically fire royalty and the King of Banefire, Ruarks. It'll also give me native Air 3 mages with Fairy Court, although do I have nature? No, I'm going to have to do Ring of Sorcery, and that's going to be real tough to do just because I don't have the astral income, and I'm going to have to trade. Because I got nature 2 native. I can do Thistle Mace and the Ring of whatever, but that only puts me at 4, so I need a Ring of Sorcery to make that. So that's just a matter of Astral Pearls. I have the pass to do it, but I have to save up on Astral Pearls. The real reason to go to Conjuration 8 is just to get Will of Misery up, which is a good reason, but that is the main idea there. Now, Alteration 8 is perhaps more attractive. One of the nice things about Alteration 8 is it's going to give me the battlefield-wide resistances, which I'm starting to feel like I'm really lacking here. It'd be really good to get these. So I can do Fire Resist here with Water Magic, which I have good access to. Now that I have Flame Spirits, I could also do Cold Resistance if I need to. And I have Earth Magic, so we can do Shock Resistance. In addition, this is going to give me, well, we can even do more water buffs like Quickening, which is actually, like, if you have good, decent water access, like you can get the temporary gem item on a Water 2 mage that just casts this every battle, like Area of Effect 9+, you can get a lot of Sacreds with that. That's pretty cool. But the other amazing buff we get here is Will of the Fates, which is not too hard to cast in a Communion, and it puts luck on every unit. Now, it does not affect undead and inanimate beings, which means it does not affect our ghosts, which is too bad. But still, this is a great buff. So maybe Alteration 8 before Conjuration 8. I don't know. We'll have to see. But that'll be a few turns out. Now, my original script for this turn was to attack Ulm here with basically this and some support here. And then here I'm deploying like a force with which I intended to kick Ulm off of my fort. But I have to move it here first anyways. Now, after the Diplo with Ulm, we kind of agreed to chill things out next turn. So he's going to move off of this fort back onto Man's fort here. He's going to stay in this province, but he's not going to move any further. And so in the interest of potentially having a peace deal, I'm not going to try to kill any of his dudes. And so instead, we're just going to keep our war going with Man. Because as far as I'm concerned, Man said, no, I'm still going to fight you to the death. So I'm expecting him to be hostile towards me. And therefore, I will be hostile towards him. So we're going to take this province and take this province back. And here we've got, we're taking this back from the Indies. Yeah, there's, let's see, we just got like a cat mage with some sacreds over here. Oh, here we've got, I realized we had like got some sacreds that are stuck here. They must have retreated. So we're going to go pick them up with a little mage. Over here, we are attacking with, we've got only a few sacreds. They're on hold and attack rear up at the top with a cat mage blessing them because that's the only mage I had that could bless. Down here we have earth buffs and just a bunch of barbarian heavy cav. Yeah. And over here we have the logistics here were a little tricky in terms of moving all the troops around, but over here we have some sacreds. We got some water mages blessing. I was moving some death gems here because next turn we'll have pile of ghosts, and so in case this army needs to come contribute to a major fight, it'll have all of the death gems it needs to do all the ghost spells. And you'll notice, like, I lost the 2 generals that I had here, so that's why everybody's like following mages in. over here, well, this is now a bit overkill, but I don't mind having a stronger force here. I might be able to combine it with all these other raiding forces and actually put pressure on him. He has no more mage support because he lost all his mages. So, next turn this might open up possibilities to put more pressure on him if he doesn't want to peace out. Yeah, and over here, we need to have a more serious army, because here we might fight Ulm with all his rangers. So we need to have Arrowfend and things like that, and Earth, whatever, and stuff. Okay, so that is it for the turn. Well, I already submitted this turn. In fact, there's already the next turn. But I'm not going to record the next turn yet, because I'm going to wait for the Diplo with Man to actually happen. So I'll see you guys then. That's all for now. Take care.